Hi, dear friends. Welcome back to Akshadari. I am Devraj from Akshadari. Today is 24th July 2023, and I hope you guys are working towards to improve our communication in English and also preparing for the competitive exams. And also following the tips which I have given in the previous videos. I hope for those who made helpful for you for your preparation. So before going to start today's newspaper session, I would request you guys to please subscribe the channel, like and comment for more videos related to healthcare, education and personal interviews, especially about the teachers and about the education, so which is very useful in the future days. So let's start the today newspaper. Let's come what's in the front page of the today newspaper, and also the Hindu, which is very important for the personality development and also as personal development in English communication. So let's come what's in the front page of the Hindu newspaper. Yes, guys, let's start reading the newspaper. Today newspaper, the Monday, the Hindu newspaper. Bagil first in line for CM post. Singh Dio. Chirag Satvik Dio stands word number once. Twitter to bid adieu to bird logo, says Musk. Dilemmas of India's great power ambitions. So domestic challenges will divert attention. Siraj 5 for help India take a big lead. Over 13,000 detained in Manipur. More suspects identified in May 4 case. 6 people, including a minor, arrested in the case so far. 12 to 14 suspects identified. Police say 290 bunkers destroyed. First goods trying to Manipur leaves Guwahati, easing supply to valley. Railways post Balasur plan to speed up signaling revamp may take long years. State government issues order limiting storage of grains. Monsoon intensifies in several parts of state. Volunteers being sent as decoys to stations and raid police based on service. Program was launched by Director General and Inspector General of Police Alok Mohan, and party police officials have been several served notices and action has been taken against them. Let's read this here. What is this exactly? Decoy decoys volunteers being sent as decoys to stations and raid police based on service. Program was launched by Director General and Inspector General of Police Alok Mohan, and police officials have been served notices and action has been taken against them. Have seen a change in the behavior of the police. They were more courteous when I visited the station for passport inquiry. The service offered was commendable, and I was glad that the perception about the city police is going to change soon, said Radhakrishna, a techie and resident of Koramangala. In the last few days, the police administration is claiming that the behavior of police personnel at the station level has changed drastically. This is because the city police are sending volunteers as decoys to the stations with complaints to raid the police based on their service. For example, a police officer in the Southeast Division swung into action and took up a CO moto complaint following a minor fire accident to avoid getting a show cause notice based on the feedback. from volunteers. As many as 40 police officials have been served notices and action has been taken against them with a remark in the service record. The citizen outreach program was launched by the Director General and Inspector General of Police Alok Mohan. As part of the program, volunteers have been sent to different police stations with a complaint. They will observe the reaction of the police and whether the complaint has been taken and the report the matter. Based on the complaint, action will be taken against the officer concerned. If the police officer behaves responsibly, she or he will be identified and rewarded to a senior police officer seat. It may be recalled that the Southeast Division Police launched Janaspandana program enabling people to rate the service rendered by the police personnel at the attached station and report it to the senior police officials, based on which the officials concerned are punished or rewarded. The basic idea of the ongoing program is to ensure that the police are at the service of the people and should extend any possible help to resolve their issue. The police should act on every complaint they receive, irrespective of whether the person is a genuine or a volunteer. A police officer said. Mr. Mohan recently chaired a crime review meeting to supervise the progress of the program. As many as 20 police officers across the city have been issued SOCAS notices, and based on this, replay action will be initiated. Instead, the idea is to improve the service and ensure checks and balances, Mr. Mohan said. The police have also introduced QR code system across the city where people visiting stations can give ratings to the services. Based on the ratings, the police personnel will get rewards and punishments. This is about the Janaspandana program, which has been launched by the Mohan, the DIG, so IG and DIG. So the police go undercover to crack down an auto driver who overcharged. The Yeshwantpur Traffic Police carried out an operation in Mapti to catch auto drivers out overcharging passengers. Teacher suspension order revoked without consent of higher officer. KSRP under fire after head constable claims rampant corruption. City doctors treat a senior citizen whose hand stole blood from the brain. The challenges of being your own lawyer at the Consumer Court. Organization say although the Consumer Protection Act has witnessed reforms, many still hesitate to file a case due to complexity and intricacies inherent in the procedures at the court. Habitual offender arrested. Woman held for stabbing. Vivek Nagar police have arrested a woman from Assam for allegedly stabbing her boyfriend after she felt that he was avoiding her after being in a relationship for long. The accused, identified as Bharuti Dev, who occurred at a daycare center, allegedly stabbed Yogish Das. Bapuji Seva Kendra registration for the Gruha Lakshmi scheme is now open at your nearest Gram Panchayats. Government releases 5.14 crore for drinking water supply. After rain deficient June, southwest monsoon gets active over most of state. However, between July 1st and 23, there was a shortfall in Ramanagara, Akula, Chikbalapur, Chamrajanagar, Mysore, and Mandya districts. Touts at KIADB circular warns of strict action. Will probe substandard works in Harar Nagar segment. Take up local procurement to address food grain inflation. Farmer groups. What the harder says. 3 policemen suspended in AP after cookie man dies in custody. Collective of Muslim Forums invites CPI to anti-UCC seminar in Kerala. The event, titled Uniform Civil Code Unseen Angles of a Polarization Agenda, will be held at the Muhammad Abdur Rahman Memorial Jubilee Hall in Kozhikode at 4 p.m. on July 26th. TN Tamil Nadu Minister Ma Subramanian will open the seminar. As far as we know, political parties such as the Congress, the IUMI, CPI, and the CPI, and organizations such as the Jamaat-e-Islami too have been invited. Display your commitment by taking over a nice project. HDK tells Siddaramaiah. Education Plus, saying it without words, non-verbal communication is an important way of receiving and transferring information, and students must learn to pick up and give the right cues. Dilemmas of India's great power ambitions. Let's read this editorial page, guys. Downhill driving as shrinking trade volumes poses risk for this year's growth hopes. Let's read this dilemmas of India's great power ambition. What kind of a global power will India be? There are those who argue that India should aspire to be a great power and assert its growing power internationally. Others argue that India should focus on the uplift of millions of its people above the poverty line, improve governance, and reconcile within the country before venturing into making a better world. It is a false binary, notwithstanding the equally faulty hypo-nationalist and deeply pessimistic narratives. The story of the rise of India and the attendant challenges must be proactively and critically engaged. For the kind of power India would become will not only define the future of the world in important ways, but most definitely shape the destiny of its 1.4 billion and growing citizens. Ignoring her dismissing the global consequences of a rising India's power is unwise. But doing so without being rooted in the realities of the country's inherent limitations would be a strategic blunder. Power and its consequences. Let us start with the India of 1991, a weak, poor, and deeply beleaguered country with a foreign exchange reserve of 5.8 billion and a billion dollar and a nominal GDP of 270.11 billion. For a population of 8.6 million, around 50% of whom were poor. Those were miserable figures despite efforts to diffuse their fears of a nuclear war. Prospects of an Indo India Pakistan clash loomed, and violence in Kashmir was at its peak. The collapse of India's trusted partner, the Soviet Union, on the one hand, and strained relations with the United States on the other, further weighed on the country's ruling elite. American officials kept a close watch on India and Pakistan and their nuclear plans, and occasionally traveled to the subcontinent to counsel the canton, cantankerous neighbors. Fast forward three decades to fast forward 3 decades to 2023. India's foreign exchange reserve has grown to around 600 billion, and a war with Pakistan is not something Indian leaders lose slept over. China has taken that place though, and there is a general sense of foreign policy optimism. The reforms initiated after the 1991 economic crisis not only led to higher GDP growth but also significant poverty reduction. Ranked as the world's fifth largest economy, India's nominal GDP could soon touch 4 million trillion. It has one of the largest militaries in the world, with over 100 nuclear weapons. The US is now one of India's closest friends, and New Delhi enjoys a strong relationship with several power states around the world. The visionary investments made over the past several decades are now beginning to bear fruit with a permissive external atmosphere for the country's rise. India is also one of the pivotal swing forwards of the contemporary international system, strategically located and often playing both sides with a great elan. The great power politics around the Ukraine war brought a renewed focus on India's role in world politics. The US and the wealthy West want India to be on their side. An embattled Russian Federation is doing everything it can to ensure India does not turn its back on Moscow. There are serious suggestions that India should mediate between Ukraine and Russia to bring an end to the war. New Delhi increasingly uses the language of mediation in global crisis and being a bridge between the north and south and east and west, directly indicating that it is a major pole in world politics. Although tens of millions of people in India still live in poverty, the country's national power has increased dramatically, making it a force with system shaping capabilities and intentions. Whether New Delhi is actually punching above its weight or not, not is something only time will tell. Other side of the great power story. Despite being the fifth largest economy in the world, its GDP per capita was 1009.7 in 2021, whereas that of Bangladesh at 2002 was more than that of India, even though Bangladesh is only the 40th largest military in the world. The argument from this comparison is a well known one. GDP and military strength do not equal to the well being of a country's citizens. But at the same time, the well-being of a country's population does not equal to the gross material power that a state can bring to bear in its foreign and security policies. India is also beset with major infrastructural and governance issues. Ease of doing business may have improved, but starting a business without a bribe is still not easy. A few days of rain brings the national capital to its knees year after year. Regional caste, ethnic, and religious divisions run deep. India's domestic challenges will continue to distract the attention of its political leaders from attending to global problems. For the Indian politician, foreign policy is a luxury she or he cannot afford. One of the most pressing concerns for India's political class is to reduce poverty and improve the well being of millions of Indians living under the poverty line. A task that is bound to divert its attention from serious external engagements. When the political class gives a scant attention to the country's foreign and security policy, as it usually happens in the case of India, it is managed by career bureaucrats who usually do not diverge from precedents and avoid taking even remotely risky decisions. Without political will, foreign policy tends to be an autopilot. The presence of a weak economy also tempers the Indian elite's appetite for external engagement. Over time, the appetite has grown, but that does not change the fact that the political class can only allocate so much attention to foreign and security policies if the country is economically weak and large sections of the population are living in poverty. More so, a weak domestic economy prevents politicians from allocating adequate resources for foreign policy objectives. For instance, the Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs observed that despite an increase in the overall budget allocation of the Government of India, the allocation made to MEA, the Ministry of External Affairs, in percentage terms has witnessed a downward turn during the last 4 years, and during 2022 to 23 it is only 0.44% of the government of India's overall budget. The committee further said we do not find such allocation in consonance with the country's rising aspirations and growing global stature. Perhaps the country is simply unable to do so The combined effect of such domestic challenges is likely to be a political elite distracted by more immediate domestic considerations rather than the grandeur of great power status. Embrace power. So, should India refrain from shaping the global order until its domestic challenges are resolved? As the pessimist would have it, or should India continue to assert its place in the world and aspire to be a great power? Even though India's domestic inabilities will continue to moderate its inability to influence the world order befitting of its size and ambition. Being unwilling to engage and shape it would be a strategic blunder. If you are not a rule shaper, you are a rule taker. India has no choice but to influence and shape the global order to meet its foreign policy objectives, which would have significant impact on its economic growth, security, environment, and geopolitical and geo-economic interests. Be it debate restructuring, climate change, global trade, or non-proliferation, and New Delhi can ill afford to let someone else make the rules and abide by them. Whether it likes it or not, India's impact on world under it is a given, and in a globalized world, the relationship between the states, global influence, and domestic growth is an unavoidable one. India's ability to shape international politics must also be a reflection of its domestic context, and its global engagement must necessarily be geared towards the well-being of its people. Neither is a strategic autarky an option, nor is India's assertiveness on the global stage a matter of nationalistic hubris or officious vanity. This is about the India's foreign policies. A case of a new pronoun for AI. What about it is? Let's read it. Get and read it. Artificial intelligence chatbots are having a seminal moment. Large language models are fueling chatbots that converse like human experts, sometimes doing a better job than the observers in summarizing a complex idea or writing an essay. ChatGPT's bulleted responsive minds as of examination answers by A grade students. While internet search required us to learn the art of keywords, LLMs require us to master prompts. Prompts are archetype user generated questions as well as instructions by software programmers which elicit a desired response from the algorithm. Prompt engineering is becoming a sought after job to train chatbots to act more like efficient human beings. Computer scientist Alan Turing had proposed an limited imitation game to test a machine ability to demonstrate intelligent behavior that is indistinguishable from that of a human. In our willing suspension of disbelief, we will forget that we are conversing with a machine. Yes, on some occasions we will anthropomorphize anthropomorphize the model. On other occasions, we will simply not know, and the machine would have passed the Turing test. Even if you do not fail into an emotional or financial trap, anthro- anthropomorphous chatbots will muddy our sense of reality, giving AI a gender. Lawmakers are divided over the question of attributing a legal personal to AI, personal personhood to AI. This becomes more complicated with autonomous machines, but there is a consensus that misrepresentation of identity by AI feels like manipulation. Experts suggest that restricting AI from using first person pronouns as well as other human pronouns may reduce cases of cases of AI's mistaken identity. This way, it would be easier to identify text entirely produced by a machine. This is important because pronouns have everything to do with identity today. Writers like me struggle with using pronouns for AI in their writing. I tend to use the inanimate pronoun it, even as it is no longer strictly used for inanimate nouns. Fiction writers lean on conventional gender based pronouns for AI characters that are scripted as self aware. Yet, in the real world, AI is no sentient being. Therefore, AI can easily avoid using I in the first person. Even Chatbot believes that giving AI is a distinct identity can help clarify its role and prevent it from being confused with human beings. We also need to avoid attributing gender based second and third person pronouns to AI. Apple typecast Siri in a feminine sounding voice, although Siri has alternative masculine and gender neutral voices. The default is feminine. We give AI a gender to foster an emotional connection with users. In the long run, this would reap the benefits of greater engagement and hence a robust revenue stream. Historically, the pronoun he was loosely attributed to any student, which it tended to create a mental image of a male student. The initial version of Siri in its default mode betrayed our gender assumptions about a preference for a more submissive feminine assistant. Nevertheless, technology companies are cautious with pronouns. Google Smart can compose technology, which auto completes sentences on Gmail, is careful not to predict pronouns to avoid exposing unconscious gender biases in the AI model. Google dismissed an employee who famously claimed that his AI model had become sentient and had prepared pronouns. AI need not have gender. Some argue that AI should use a gender neutral pronoun such as it or they. This will depersonalize AI. Yet, a non binary identity may be construed as non inclusive. Giving AI a contemporary pronoun would trigger popular demand for more diversity in chatbots, as was the case with avatars and emojis. Besides, AI requires pronouns to establish an identity that is distinct from that of humans. Presumably, for ethical and security reasons, it is our right to know that we are indeed conversing with a bot. In the English language, pronouns have evolved based on changes in cultural norms. You started to be used for singular and plural second person pronouns from the early modern period when social interactions became less formal. In literature, the first known use of they as a singular gender neutral pronoun was in a 14th century French poem. Historically, we were not entirely satisfied with the pronouns used at the time. There have been brief attempts at inventing and using a gender neutral third person singular pronoun, such as Thorn in the 1890s, meaning that one Kelly and Sippel's thesis in 1991 as a long list of gender neutral pronouns in singular third person that were proposed in the past 150 years. These include he, s, he, is, them, ons, he, er, is, yesh, se, ish, rem, ko, te, per, na, en, em, her, and she. This is not even a complete list used in the technology industry. Pronoun usage has entered the technology industry discourse in recent times, especially as models become as sophisticated enough to pass the Turing test. Suggestions include using the first person neopronouns such as Z, say, and G, but they are already used by people who identify as gender neutral. Therefore, we should invent an entirely different set of pronouns for AI. Regulators should not squander the opportunity to fix this problem at this early stage before conventional pronouns for AI catch up. To have a structured approach, regulators need to work with lexicographers and linguistics to set a standard for the major languages to start with. Mandates related to pronouns can then be added to style guides for prompt engineering of AI models. Arguably, even if we were to lose an emotional connection with AI, we would build a trusted and transparent online environment. This is about the chatbot, AI chatbot. Bye. Sub-voting mandate. Thailand's military should respect the popular vote or risk turmoil. The politics of the Uniform Civil Code. A busload of problems. It is in the best interest of the government and the citizens to keep KSRTC afloat. In Telangana, districts near capital have flourished. An analysis of 8 socio-economic indicators shows a deep divide in development between core districts and periphery areas. Police verification for government jobs to continue. Oh, 13,000 people are detained in Manipur. FIFA reveals horrific killing of Manipur youth. The Joe youth, who was arrested for sharing a post on Biren Singh, was being taken from court to jail on May 4 when a mob of around 800 men and women intercepted the police vehicle, dragged the youth out, and beat him to death. NHRC records case as custodial death issues notices. Many instances of brutality in Manipur's ongoing ethnic conflict are emerging only now. Plan to revamp signaling may take a long years, and a files charge sheet against 9 accused linked to BK and Khalistan Tiger Plus. Three are listed individual terrorists, while others are associated with the banned outfits. And a Impal-based Kokomi writes to European Press Parliament on its Manipur resolution. NST team visits Blast Eat restaurant in Shimla to ascertain cause of incident. An NST team at a restaurant on Mall Road where a blast killed one person and injured nine in Shimla. Japanese foreign minister to visit India this week, discuss vision for global south. If Congress wins polls, Baghel will be first in line for CM's post. Singh Dio. Chhattisgarh Deputy Chief Minister says party is likely to bag between 60 and 75 plus seats in the election to the 90-member assembly. He says there was no real bitterness and enmity with Baghel and they were working together. I cannot become the chief minister. It is the high command on the feedback it has that gives designated roles to all of us. Bengal BJP leaders filed plaint against Abhishek over Girao call. Widespread support to PM's proposal on AIU membership. CERT cautions against ransomware Akira attack. To win Madhya Pradesh election, BJP and Congress go ahead with to go head to head with promises for women's welfare. CERT cautious against a ransomware Akira attack. Two Chinese nationals arrested for entering India illegally. G20 venue in Delhi to be inaugurated on July 26th. SC to year plea on sanitary pads for class 6 to 12 girls today. Action of 808 ppm radio station soon. Anurag Thakur. 75 people still untraced in a landslip hit village in Raigad. Till now, 27 bodies, including one of 12 women and 4 children, have been recovered from the debris from the Thursday disaster. Incessant rain continues to batter various regions of Maharashtra. Flood waters recede in Gujarat, Junagadh. A different kettle of fish. Kashmir wants you to taste its trout. Mumbai police received threat call about RDX filled tanker. Nepal's ruling Maoist party members begin visit to India. Bharata's persistence. Cambodia's ruling party on course for landslide in one-sided election. 26 killed, several missing as blast floods strike central Afghanistan. Peru police clash with protesters demanding president step down. 19,000 evacuated as worldwide fire rages on the Greek island of Rhodes. Spain votes in snap election with right favored to win. Opinion polls have put the conservative Popular Party ahead of the socialist PM Pedro Sanchez, but it will likely need the support of the far-right Vox party if it wants to form a government. Russia strikes Odessa cathedral as Putin says Ukraine counteroffensive failed. Netanyahu gets hot maker ahead of judicial reforms vote. Musk says that Twitter to change logo to X from Bluebird. Cut health insurance premium and not coverage. Rising premiums associated with such insurance can strain finances, but there are practical strategies to lower premium without sacrificing the coverage. Healthy mind in a healthy body. Mind the retirement risk, June. The most important portfolio you will create is a retirement portfolio to fund forced retirement living. However, managing risk during a retirement risk is zone is vital to financial well-being. Harmanpreet set to receive FT fine and demerit points. Siraj's career best fastball restricts Windies into 255. The India face spears 5 for triggers a collapse as the host lose 5 wickets for 26 runs and slip from a good position. Rohit scores a quick fire 57 in an attempt to push for victory. Harmanpreet set to receive a hefty fine and demerit points. Joshua reveals how Virat Kohli made his Mother's Day and you. Skipper Cummins says Australia is happy to take home the Ashes. Vingegaard wins two-day France 2023. Mees takes final stage. Rain washes out England's hopes. Australia retains the URN after draw. High League turns Joy League for Harman as he cruises to maiden major Shibanka T8. Pakistan A crushes India A, wins title. Kirill and Maniko set it up. Natalia seals its first smashes. Verstappen drives Red Bull to record 12th straight win. Sadvik Chirag duo battles first Alpion Ardian to fate. The Indians come from behind to beat the Indonesians, ranked number one in the world. In a thrilling summit dash to clash to win the title, the reigning DCWG champions extend a winning streak to 10 matches. Vishal and stand by despite dominating the selection trials. Sumit Nagal wins at Tampio ATP Challenger. Plucky Jamaica holds France Goales. Indian trap team lands the silver band Italy in Junior World Cup Championship. India's premier ODI domestic tournament returns. Deepak Ravikumar steals the show with three wins and two podium finishes. Success lives up to her billing in St. Leaguer. Ashish still driven by the desire to compete and achieve more success. The 33-year-old gymnast who has won WADA 30 medals from 37 international events wants to focus on the floor exercise routine in his favorite all-around event to minimize the workload. He feels that India has the capability to taste glory again. Veteran Martha chasing a scoring record and Brazil first WC title. Climate targets are becoming outdated. India needs its own. The target in the Paris Agreement to keep the planet's surface from warming by 2 degrees Celsius by 2000 has been touted as a monumental goal. However, despite negotiations for more than 2 decades, global carbon emissions have not slowed, also the target was not derived scientifically. A constant drumbeat of alarmist messages may only exacerbate climate anxiety and leave people feeling helpless. Telling time with geology. What it is exactly. They swim against the current of climate change, but man is not made for debate. Being exhibited at the Chitrakala Parishad captures multiple ways in which people adapted to climate change with all its complex socio-political ramifications. Friendship Day initiative builds a bridge between two groups of children. An exhibition of cartoons by the evergreen Anwar Ahmed. His political cartoons provide a significant testament to the history of the subcontinent. Ahmed's cartoons strike a somber chord, capturing the harsh reality of the subcontinent. Border issue, no comment by yours. Aras. Still ticking. Amidst rumors of setting a shop, the watches of HMT, which started over 60 years ago, are still sticking as collections via for their new Tiffany Blue launch. An ode to lost time. We wanted to create something new with an elegant teal blue color, which has a cult following across multiple brands. Style over substance drama. A symbiotic moment on stage. Text and context. The cases of signaling failure in railways in the last 5 years. Tax evasion by Chinese smartphone companies. The number of Indians who gave up as citizens in 2023. 87,000 Indian people, have given up their citizenship due to no reason. Vacancies at the level of major and captain rank in the army. The cases disposed by the Supreme Court this year. And ED's power to arrest and seek custody. Why was Tamil Nadu's Minister V. Senthil Balaji arrested by Enforcement Directorate officials? Are ED officials are the same as police officers? Why has the Supreme Court cautioned against continued judicial interference in money laundering cases? Will a generic supply bed aqualine be accessible? Is tuberculosis still a global health threat? was Johnson and Johnson been trying to hold on it onto its patent of the TB drug after it expired last week? Was India able to reject J&J's hold over the drug, capturing a science and its purveys on camera? From Frankenstein to open emo, Hollywood has come a long way in its representation of scientists on the big screen. Here we take a closer look at the representation of scientists in Hollywood and pop culture. The recent article was not half to scratch. Stop taking in as experts. You are bound to get into trouble by one of these days. With Christopher Nolan's film getting rave reviews, Equage on the Manhattan Project. This is the last page, guys. Text and context page, which is related to the achievements and innovations. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading. So let's read this newspaper in the YouTube also the same, which I'm going to update as soon as possible. And please subscribe the channel, like and comment, and share the videos with your friends, which will make to avail the opportunities in the future. So let's see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye, take care.